Oh, Nick Riewoldt, that is the biggest job in football at the moment.
The second preliminary final. The winner to take on Collingwood. Saturday night footy from the MCG.
Steve McBurney umpiring his 8th preliminary final. Bounces the ball. Jones possession. Couldn't get it onto his boot, but was trying, as the umpire said. There is a free kick.
Got the ball. Bulldogs free kick.
And it will go to Ryan Hargrave, the first kick of this second preliminary final. The perennial Cinderellas, the Bulldogs and the Saints. Harbrow, very good last week. He saw off Kajitsky's tackle, but his kick was no good. And Hayes receives.
Nick Riewoldt held. Umpire said Nick Riewoldt's free, held off the ball.
The man on the mark will be standing a few metres inside the 50. The ball dry, or maybe just outside the 50, looking at where the umpire is.
And Robert Murphy starting in the back line for the Bulldogs. Now, surely they'll put him forward at some stage. You can see Murphy going with Peake.
So Riewoldt looking as though he's having a shot. While the going is hard and fast, as it were. He pulls it out near the behind post. Lake's there with both fists up. So a throw-in.
A couple other matchups. Clinton Jones is running it around with Ryan Griffin, as expected. Lake has the roll on Koschitzke. Those two have gone head-to-head a lot in the past. Lake taking the honours there on a number of occasions.
So Saints deep here. Gardner, Milne, now watching ever so closely. Great tackle from Morris. Early points to him in the battle. And Boyd able to collaborate with Grant, who gets an early feel for something he didn't last week. And Barry Hall, like all the players, having to work hard up the ground.
Now he pauses because no one to go to. We saw Grant, the centre-half forward, get it in the back pocket, kicked it to Hall, the full forward, on the wing.
The umpire intervening and forcing Hall to go back to Hargrave. Kept his wits about him well. To a one-on-one at half forward. Graham worked off the back of Grant, and the ball over away from Johnson and Fisher.
Trying to work out which style the Bulldogs will go to tonight against St Kilda. In the last two games, in the preliminary final last year in round 6, they decided at times they needed to hang on to the footy. St Kilda get a great zone working and numbers back. You just can't bomb away to 3 or 4, but I think if they are to win it, they're going to have to take a risk and try and get some one-on-one footy inside 50.
Griffin trying to latch onto Hayes, but as Luke said, Jones has latched onto Griffin. Milne down the back here as the Saints get their numbers back, but he swings it out. And it's the Bulldogs footy, and it will be Dale Morris back from a crack in a vertebrae, or a vertebra, to play in this preliminary final for the Bulldogs. Such an important man down the back. Hugs the boundary. Oh, Hudson shunted under it. No sympathy from the umpire there. The Bulldog fans were sure he was pushed. Gilbert squeezing it out, getting it back, knocking it out.
I loved Hudson's second effort there. Something that has been his real trademark. What a decent little shove in the back. Umpire happy to see them let go and play on, but watch him crack back in. We mightn't quite get it there, but he goes so hard after the footy at ground level for such a big unit.
So it looks like Griffin's trying to get onto Hayes. So there's a bit of a merry-go-round going around the front of the screen. There you go. There's Hayes and there's Griffin. And Jones, as we said, is riding with Griffin.
Another interesting one is Harbrow is playing midfield on Montagna. And Harbrow usually plays in the back pocket, and he's playing virtually as a winger at the moment.
Hold on to your hats to watch that one. It should be a ripper. There is Montagna taking it out wide for Jones. He has a bit of time on his side here to deliver to half forward away from Riewoldt. Well done by Williams. So some early nerves. He gave away the free, but he's back there and wins an early duel.
Such key men up forward. Riewoldt, and at the other end Barry Hall, who's kicked 10 goals in his last 2 preliminary finals. Those great years, of course, with Sydney. Got a 6 and a 4. If he could do that tonight, he'd put the Dogs on the way. Boyd kicks to the middle. Grant, a lean final series. Good start here as Gilbert held him, and they go on. Hall, a long way up ground, delivers well. Finds his skipper, but outside the 50. No one back there. He would be tempted to go over the top and try and skid it home. Harbrow receiving from Boyd. Just didn't quite make the contact he was after. It might have deflected off a hand. Peake puts it out in front of Schneider, close to the line.
You can see Murphy already up around half forward, whether he's had a run from half back. He's just wandering his way back down into defence. But you can just see there how efficient St Kilda are at getting the zone organised. They had 3 loose in their defensive part of the ground.
Last night we saw a blitz in the early moments of the game. We're certainly not seeing that tonight, which will be no real surprise, but certainly from a Bulldog point of view, Luke, I'm sure they'll be pleased with that.
A couple of good matchups. Del Santo playing on cross, and Lenny Hayes and Boyd.
Del Santo so crucial to this St Kilda side. The stats will show that 4 occasions this year he's had 20 disposals or under, and the Saints have lost all those games. And of course he missed the big loss against Collingwood as well. There's Boyd as they just shunted forward, but again Jones doing what has been a real trademark for him, laying the big tackle.
And this is what the Bulldogs have got to wrestle with. If they don't execute their kicks inside 50 well, St Kilda will always get numbers back, and they set up so much play. So they've got to make sure they've got prominent targets down there at the right time.
Gardner from the back, Goddard, a skidder to the middle, and there'll be a lot of this ground level football. Williams losing his footing, not the thing to do here.
The Bulldogs really targeting Gilbert. Mitch Hahn started off on him. He swapped with Addison, and Addison now right into Sam Gilbert.
Goals will be precious in this game. Montagna works it forward. Good collect, Milne. Murphy tied him up well. Boyd, the blue-collar man, started very, very well. Morris needing to get his kick. Riewoldt arriving at a rate of knots. Graham just couldn't reach it. Fisher shunting Johnson past it. And the defensive stalwart Fisher delivers to Koschitzke. Lake's let him come.
Yeah, Koschitzke 40 metres away from Lake. Lake will play well back in defence and not follow his opponent upfield.
Fisher followed up. Graham, good user of the ball. Riewoldt and Milne. Milne won the contest between the Star Saint forwards. His kick's not great. Safety first from Easton Wood, taking it over for a throw-in.
So no score after 7 minutes in the opening quarter on a damp, cold night in Melbourne. Second preliminary final. Gardner and Hudson. No one really has their way. Dempster and Cross. At the coalface, Ray gains some important territory. Koschitzke a hard man to move. Well done, Lake. Likewise, Williams, Morris.
It's interesting, Hutto. You see, called Morris there. Dale Morris coming into this Bulldogs team. We thought he might play on Riewoldt, and he may well. But at the moment, he's playing back pocket on Stevie Milne.
A job which he has done previously with some success. Throw in, and Ward tries to force his way through. No contact paid too high. Ray again involves Snyder. Doesn't try and go for goal. Instead, it's Lake and Koschitzke again. And the Bulldog man prevails. Goddard with that trademark desperation. Any way that matters. Quick kick forward. Graham up and under. The Saints galore out there. And Gardner with a very tough angle to work with will perhaps put the first score on the board.
Thought he did this really well in the final against Geelong on Brad Otten's Michael Gardner. He's got a great ability to run hard forward and get space, and he's really worked Ben Hudson over there. Got 10 metres. He's deceptively quick, Michael Gardner.
9 goals, 6 for the season. That's a good look at it, and you can see it's mighty close. It's a poster, and that's the first score of the match.
Taken a long time in coming. Beyond the 8-minute mark by the count-up clock.
There's a really good look at the zone that St Kilda put in place. They are also very good at trapping the ball inside their own forward 50.
Hargrave gains a few metres and tries to beat it.
And the zone works there because all the Bulldogs could do was kick it long to a contest situation. They couldn't spot up a player for a 30-40 metre pass.
So it's a win to the Saints because the ball is now in 50-50, just outside their 50. Hudson rucking. Gardner his opponent. Morris started well. Good pressure from the Saints. There was high contact in there, and it's been spotted by umpire Stevic. Off it comes to Hayes. Riewoldt has this. Oh, did he hang on? He did. What a beauty.
And not only did he hang on to it, he's also really just hurt Robert Murphy with a great physical leap at the footy. There's the free kick from Hahn. Williams just couldn't go with Riewoldt in the air. That is an outstanding grab with a wet ball. You can just see got a really strong knee into the hip of Robert Murphy.
He's played 13 finals and kicked 34 goals in them at an average of better than 2.5 a game. There is no doubting his temperament. His kicking, though, sometimes is doubted and doubtful. and it lets him down here. That should have been a goal.
Well, Mitch Hahn, the free kick by Hahn, crossed the shoulder, the neck. He just tackles too crudely, has done it repeatedly. He'll be breathing a sigh of relief that Riewoldt missed.
And so will Tom Williams. I suspect the kick goes to half-back, but it might come back. Callum Ward doesn't think so, but he better get used to it because Del Santo's working inside the 50. He too is astray and misses everything. Or he didn't miss the behind post, but doesn't get a score. As businesslike as ever, Ross Lyon.
Bulldogs normally like to try and hit leading targets in this situation, try and work their way through and run, but with the conditions, we've had a heap of rain. It's really slippery.
Oh, what a calamity. The easiest of goals. Was it touched? It was touched.
Yeah.
Or was it?
Good call by the
Yes.
goal umpire. He kicked it into Kazitsky. It came off Kazitsky's thigh.
And quickly they're back into play.
Well, that was extraordinary. Shocking error from the Bulldog defence. They are very lucky to get off the hook. 3 behinds only against them at the moment, and it's been an all-out attack from St Kilda for the last few minutes. Gwilt here to Goddard. Well done, Murphy. Recovered from the jolt from Riewoldt. Kuzitsky. Murphy getting a bit of a smother on the kick. Morris attacking it. Brave stuff. Harbrow just hoisting it out in hope. Murphy the only man near it, but he was headed for the bench. It's all St Kilda. Fisher to McWalter. He's 80 out. He has a man loose in Del Santo, still just a little far out. Graham lurking down the flank, but he goes for Riewoldt. Well done, Williams, hammering it away, and the skipper's there to save for the Dogs. To Hahn, they're holding up. If they could score at the other end, it would be a big blow. Boyd drives them forward. Hall and Gwilt one out. Can Bassett do the job here? Gwilt, very accomplished footballer now, and the Saints get numbers there. That is Saints footy.
Yes, a big test, wasn't it, for Gwilt? And he passed with flying colours, Del Santo. Good service to Graham. He'll think about it. He goes long, but Gilby was onto him, and he can dish the handball. Williams will want to get rid of it pretty soon. He would like to have done a lot better than that. Somehow the Dogs are holding St Kilda at bay. I don't really know how at this stage. And the ball is over the line and out of bounds.
No one over your legs. Go, Jack.
Well, we'll go back a couple of minutes. Riewoldt in the goal square and kicks it into the thigh of his big mate. Ricochets through, and the goal umpire got it right.
If any St Kilda player was going to touch one of his teammates' kicks, he'd be the man for the job. And he did, to the Bulldogs' liking.
You're mean.
Here's Dempster, Jones, McAvoy. That's a clever kick from the big man. Riewoldt, he's the lightning rod. Bit stiff maybe not to get it free. They're dangerous. Kuzitsky getting it to Eddie, but no depth. And Lake takes it away. And the Bulldogs are holding up. Eagleton to Hargrave. This is high wire stuff. Hargrave to Addison, who did start off back on Gilbert, playing that defensive forwards role. No one to go to here, so he gives to Eagleton.
Gee, I do think, Luke, they are trying to move the ball on a lot quicker, the Bulldogs, than the last time they met.
Oh, they didn't get the read they would have liked on that one, but Dawson made a little bit of a mess of it. Slightly gave an opening for Gian Siracusa, but Gwilt was cool, and Fisher always is, well, almost always. Kicks to the wing where Eddie had a nice read on it and can work it through the middle. Good overlap running from Gilbert, and this time it's Milne that's got away. But again, it's just been a matter of inches for St Kilda. They just haven't quite been able to get it. Couple of free kicks Riewoldt could have been paid and hasn't so far. He certainly played that one up, and I think that's probably a fair call.
I think the umpires have done a really good job so far in this final. There's been some technical ones that maybe could have been paid both ways. They've let them all go.
McAvoy, good tap, but it's the Bulldogs' footy. They want to go on. Have got to be careful. Griffin, oh, he was late on the kick. Schneider got enough of him. Hargrave, though, bangs it away. Straight to Fisher. The ball just keeps finding this man, as it has done for 2 or 3 years now. He kicks to Ray, the former Bulldog. Saints attacking, swarming the Dogs. Too strong, though, for Graham. Hahn for the Bulldogs. Finding Ward. Did the 360. Just had Griffin on the stretch. Peak arriving. Tied up. Ball up.
Well, it's been St Kilda. St Kilda inside 57-2, but they haven't got it on the scoreboard.
Not likely to panic yet, though, St Kilda. That's for sure. It's been amazing, Darcy, that they haven't been able to score a goal.
They've been absolutely under siege, the Bulldog defence, and had a number of opportunities. You'll be sitting there thinking we can get one against the flow of play. That really does put some doubt in the Saints' mind.
Hayes slams it deep. Milne will love this, that it hits the ground. It does, but away from his area. And Lake's able to contain it and control it, and uses Gilby on the way out. They'll look to switch here with some kick somewhat fraught with danger, but it's effectively executed. And Eagleton takes the mark. Happy to use Williams on the way out. The next kick important, and the one after this will be even more so. If it can take place, Hahn not so fleet of foot, and the boundary line was a respite there. It was out.
And the boy with the footy, young Picken, he's got the tagging job on Goddard, has been with him from the first bounce of the game. Goddard will spend most of the night on the ground.
Just 2 disposals for Goddard so far, Rob.
Yeah, he's their best tagger, Picken, so Goddard's in for a big night.
What a challenge for a young man. Ward to cross to Boyd. To Wood, and this is promising. This is their best move. Gilby, a good kick of the footy, hoists it, just misses.
And the first time they've really been able to break through that 50-metre arc, and now under more pressure here from Addison.
Yeah, well done by Addison, and he keeps it alive and gives a man with a sharp left foot perhaps to have the shot. No, Eagleton decides to retreat, and it's Boyd. The setup is complete, and now Mitch Hahn, the late inclusion, will be the man entrusted with the kick.
Good kick by Boyd. Took that ball out wide, and the Sam Fisher kick in, not a good one at all.
They certainly worked over Gilbert here. Addison now put him under a fair bit of pressure. Mitch Hahn, you wouldn't say is a beautiful kick to look at, but he can be effective.
And he stands, and from 30 out, it looks pretty beautiful to him right now, Das. Bulldogs with the first.
Well, they got a reprieve. The man there on screen was dropped. Andrew Hooper, who debuted in a final, first player for 25 years to do that, and did pretty well last week. He got replaced at the last minute for Mitch Hahn. You feel like he owes his side something. That's not a bad way to start.
This stuff from Addison is what they need, Rob, tonight. This was just great stuff to keep it alive, wasn't it?
Great contest. Yeah, wins the one-on-one. Not only does he win it, but he puts it to advantage. Ends up getting the goal for his team. Rodney Eade would be delighted with that.
It's reverse rope-a-dope here. The Saints pulled it on the Bulldogs to win that low-scoring game earlier in the year. The Dogs have absorbed the pressure early here and responded with the first goal, and Hahn keeps it in their attacking half as things bubble close to the surface. It's a tight 10 start. Minson to ruck here. Blake there for the Saints and Gardner. Boyd, he's been tremendous early. Herculean. Schneider to Montagna to Blake to Graham was precision stuff for the Saints. They build a good-looking attack, but Kajitsky can't find the drop. Lake has him beaten here. Cozzy ran hard. All foxed by Gilby. Cool. It's a dangerous kick. He got the weight right, though. Addison couldn't hang on to it. Fought on tigerishly. Bulldogs settling in a bit here. Harbrow with the non-preferred. Too strong for Johnson. Hahn again. Johnson's there and dangerous. Wouldn't it lift them if he could do something? Grant missed Hahn. Might get Harbrow. Hayes brings him down. Eagleton. Grant need to be clean. Quilt's got him. Still alive. Hayes. Griffin in his path. Brings him down, but it's a St Kilda free kick.
Gee, young Jared Grant, #1 for the Bulldogs. He's a skinny boy, and he's finding out just how hard and tough you have to be in a final.
Fisher spreads it wide to Blake. Bulldogs' belief growing, though. You can sense it as the kick heads in the Ray direction. And the Saints forced to play held up footy, which they're quite familiar with.
Former Bulldog here, Farron Ray, is the great Charlie Sutton looks on, captain coach of the 54 premiership side, and riding every minute of this game.
So Gilbert, as they work it around through the back half, and the Dogs being pretty disciplined, one-on-one ahead, and then a couple of extra bodies just filling some gaps.
At the moment, Lake on revolt.
Here's the spare man for the Saints to make a bit of a dash. An unlikely one in Blake. Goes long to the one-on-one. It might skid all the way through. And Peake almost got on the end of it.
Cheat. Riewoldt going off his head at Blake. Absolutely going off his head, saying, kick it to me. Don't just bomb it in the general direction.
Bulldog defence outstanding early. Taking everything that's come at it. And holding the Saints goalless, although they are culpable. St Kilda missing one or two shots. Hargraves' kick not good. Fisher dropping the mark. Brought it down in front of himself. Collected and gives to Milne. And the little bee in the bottle can line them up from 35 out, virtually straight in front.
Well, I hope Sam Fisher, he dropped the mark. I hope he didn't drop his head. And I reckon he was a little bit worried about what was coming from behind. Referred pressure, they call it. And that's a bit disappointing.
Stephen Milne has played in 4 preliminary finals and kicked only 2 goals. He starts to set things right with the Saints first.
One there from Sam Fisher that we look back and might have thought he could have had another stronger effort at that. But what has been an issue for the Bulldogs has been their ability to get it out of fullback from the kicking. And the zone of St Kilda is looking very, very dangerous.
Well, Barry Hall's been off the ground for the last 3 minutes. He's just come back on. When Barry Hall came off the ground, Dawson, his opponent, came off. But Dawson hasn't come back on. So Blake has Hall at the moment, and he'll be too strong for him, Barry Hall.
Ward through cross. Jan Siracusa. Goddard. Farah committed. Takes the mark, and look at the Saints bolt along the members' wing. Wasn't perfect in the kick. But Fisher backing out has, again, time and space on his side. That's a forgettable kick forward. Graham was in the contest. He's not anymore. Hargraves senses Grant's got a metre or 2 on Fisher. What can Grant, who has blinding pace, do with it? Ducks inside. The leads come. There was Hall. There was Johnson. He went for the skipper, who's earned a free. Where to next? Goddard fills some space. So does Hayes inside the 50. Hall makes his move. And Blake did well, but it got through to Grant. The young man, the young man. Oh, yes, the young man delivers.
And Sam Fisher should hang his head in shame, because he's let this kid get away from him twice in the last 30 seconds. He took the mark on the wing running back, and then the kid pushed forward, and Fisher didn't run hard enough with him. Well, Brendan Goddard's looking into the back line, and I reckon he's having a crack at Sam Fisher for saying, you let us down, you're not playing tight enough on the young opponent. And he was nowhere near Grant. He didn't run hard enough with him, and when Grant kicked the goal, he slumped. Did Fisher, hands on knees. Got to be better than that.
A mysterious looking MCG as we peer at it through the mists of time. Bulldogs go forward again. They're right in this game after being pounded early. Here's Gilbert receiving from Hayes. Del Santo back to Hayes in all the tough stuff, finding his way through here and releasing Montagna, sitting it up a little awkwardly for Eddie. Got control of it, just took a little while. Schneider, don't know whether he meant to do it, but he got it to Montagna effectively. Eddie hard at Robert Murphy, who's been in the wars early. Bulldogs get numbers around it.
Great passage there before. And we just saw some quality. Look at this, both players going super hard at it. Eddie got in a little lower, Murphy's up and he's fine. But when you have Hayes, you have Montagna, you have Del Santo, all combining, it's dangerous.
And again, they can break out of defence. Ward caught one as he kicked it. Fisher couldn't complete the job. Brad Johnson's dangerous at the moment. His handball wasn't bad, but Grant overwhelmed by numbers. Dawson uses Peake. And Peake can head to half forward with Kosicki. There's lots of bases to cover, and it's hard to stop Riewoldt, who darts into the pocket, but Kosicki somewhat surprisingly ignores him.
Yeah, and Brian Lake gives you a chance all the time because he just zones off, plays from behind.
I'm not sure about the kick. Hudson got back, got a bit of a shove. Oh, Milne. With him, you wouldn't have been surprised if that was a goal, but it was a behind.
It was balance.
Big hands in the back there, missed by the umpire.
Unbelievable thinking, wasn't it? Great to get boot to ball. The Bulldogs have really struggled from the kick out. Murphy decides to play on himself.
That seems to be the pattern, just to try and get it over the top, and they do it to a nicety here. Lake did the job perfectly on Kajitsky. Kick to Hall. Dawson with him every step. Big bazzer, though. Pretty accomplished even when it hits the ground. Lake holding it, waiting. Griffin. Awkward for Addison on the half volley. Peake got hold of him. Johnson with plenty against him. Addison helps out. Griffin arrives. Well smothered. Ricochet to Hall. Ward lurking. Getting it clear to Addison. That was good. Now Griffin. Oh, just too strong for Johnson.
Just got really busy, Griffin, in the last 30 seconds. Been involved in 3 plays. Good sign. He's been fantastic in the 2 finals that they've already played, the Bulldogs. It has Ryan Griffin. With Cooney out, they really need him to be one of the Bulldogs' best 3 or 4 tonight.
Dogs leading by 2. Griffin, Minson. Griffin it was. And again it's Hall. Dawson's been all right so far. Hall had his chance there. Blake. Hahn tries to just bundle him out of the way.
He'll really be kicking himself, Barry Hall, after that. All he wants is one-on-one opportunities against Dawson. There he is. And he just had him for strength. That is what the Western Bulldogs will want. Get Zach Dawson and Hall isolated, and he should take the mark.
Oh, again, uncertain in the ball handling. Brad Johnson there to pounce. Big shove from Goddard on Picken. The umpire says that's okay. Bouncing ball is at half forward, and it's there to control. And Murphy, who thrilled us last week, shows his sublime skills again and finds Picken.
And well done, Liam Picken. He's doing the tagging role on Goddard. Goddard is a star. You saw him get rid of him with physical strength. This young man just goes so hard, Woolsey. He'll always butter up. And if he can score on Goddard, that is a massive result.
Real victory if he does.
Not known for his flair, Liam Picken, but he has been a small forward and a goal kicker at times in his career. And he delivers a mighty good kick. Oh, the Bulldogs, they are off and running.
Goals against St Kilda are like goals from players like Liam Picken, who you don't expect to kick them, are a double value, particularly when you score them on Brendan Goddard. And it's a really interesting matchup. This Goddard can play anywhere on the ground. He can go to full forward, and he might do that. See if Picken wants to play full back, but big win there for the Bulldogs.
Well, there you can see Brendan Goddard, his opponent Liam Pickens, just kicked the goal. Why wouldn't you put Goddard forward, Luke? Because he's a lot taller than him. Put Goddard forward, let him outmark him, let him kick a couple of goals.
Not sure Liam Picken wants to play full back on Brendan Goddard. I think that's a really smart move.
Tremendous finish by Picken. He really has a temperament. So another ball up. Bulldogs with an 8-point lead into the last minute of this opening quarter. It has been their quarter undeniably, but it's not over. Hayes to Graham. Saints might have a bite in them yet. Revolt there. Couple of big fists against him. Oh, the Dogs had numbers, just couldn't control the footy. Ward has a job to do here. So does Williams. Quick hands. Sets up Hahn. Just need to get it out of there, but also to try and maintain control of it. Murphy ever cool, his feet ever precise. Gives to Williams, to Ward as they suck up the seconds.
They do. 23 seconds remaining, and the kick to Hahn was outstanding, and Hahn could have decided to break, but he has defence on his mind.
He's got Hall down the line here in a one-on-one. I'd be tempted every time you see it. I'd just pull the trigger. You can see Dawson out the back, kick it long, and he's on.
That's what he does. Hall can't mark. Eagleton doesn't know there's only 3 seconds to go, and this is going to break the hearts of Daniel Giansiracusa, who kicked the goal that won't count. It was what a quarter.
It was a perfect kick too from Eagleton. It was just a second away from being another goal. How about the start? St Kilda had all the momentum, all the chances. They missed a couple of close ones. Revolt, a couple he should have kicked. And then all of a sudden, the Bulldogs started winning the 50-50s. And the momentum swung the other way. A big win, a big start for the Bulldogs.
Well, this is a great contest, and there's plenty of colour, and there's going to be all of that and more at the Commonwealth Games. We're heading to Delhi straight after the grand final. There's only 15 days to go, and we can't wait for all the action. There'll be plenty of superstars of sport, and we'll bring it to you all live.
Hello, 2-2-2-2-2.
Nick Riewoldt for almost the entire first quarter, which is a massive role for a young player. Riewoldt, just the 4 possessions, hasn't kicked the goal, so good start for him.
Second quarter begins. Gardner, Boyd and Cross. Riewoldt getting up the ground into the thick of the action and inserts them. Hargrave desperate. Milne goes to work. They gave him a little too much liberty. They didn't use it, though, too well. Koschitzke, Snyder, good recovery from the Saints. And Snyder's snap, again, not quite with the penetration and the direction.
Gee, the idea of Milne was good to share it, but to handball to Koschitzke, I don't know about that.
Yes, you don't hand pass to Ruckman, Rob, or to Cozzy. Now there's a free kick. It's against Cozzy for high contact. And he's the one who's come off second best.
And young Easton Wood, well done to him, because he just committed his body with absolutely everything in this contest. Look at that, running into a massive unit there in Cozzy. Cozzy's still down.
Well, Wood got the body, Cozzy got the head, Cozzy's the one hurt. Here's John Siracusa, who just about had a scoring chance at the end of the first quarter, got it to Grant, to Hahn. The Dogs are dangerous again. There was a man loose near the 50. He's gone long, and Hall couldn't get into the contest. Now he can. Scoops it up well. Hand pass for Ward. Johnson. Great smother.
Kicking in danger, dangerous kick.
Gee, that's a bit rough. I thought
that was
John
a fair dinkum kick.
he was trying to kick the footy.
We've got to see that. He had the ball. He dropped it onto his boot. It's gone out on the full, so it's a Bulldogs free kick. Koschitzke in trouble. There is a lot happening in a number of places on this Melbourne cricket ground.
And through all of it, Ward has the footy, and the Bulldogs are going into attack, and Brad Johnson's... Oh, did he just hang on to that as it just slipped out of his hands for a moment and almost went out of bounds. The umpire being fairly generous with where he's put the man on the mark.
But he's sick and sorry, isn't he? Easton Wood, the man who hit him, he's built like a brick outhouse. Luke and I were looking at him in the warm-up. He has got massive legs and hips, strong-bodied boy.
His 21st final, Brad Johnson, 364th game. He's looked in good touch tonight. I'd dearly love to have landed that one. I think that hit the post somewhere in there. It's a behind.
Here's the kick in danger. Johnson with the ball. Oh, gee, there's no kick in danger there, though. That was, I suppose the umpire calls what he sees, and we saw it from a couple of angles, once with the naked eye and on that replay. Here go the Saints. Dempster's hand pass, eventually getting a target. Montagna took a long time, but he had plenty of time. Milne did well on Gilby. He's the danger forward at the moment. Has he got enough of that? No, he hasn't. Lake has the line there if he needs it. He doesn't. He has a long target in Addison. It's a good kick, and they're good hands from Dylan Addison. The Bulldogs with growing confidence, and perhaps the Saints are a bit rattled, and that's against Fisher.
And could nearly have been 50.
Let's go back to Brian Lake's effort back there. You will have your heart in your mouth if you're a Bulldog supporter watching him play tonight. But when he's on, what he does do is set up play from the full back line and can really, really hurt you.
Crashing the pack well was Grant, and it cleared the path for Hudson, and then Johnson, who's proving dangerous. There's a man in the square demanding it. He's bouncing up and down on his own, John Siracusa. Hall oblivious.
I still reckon he's done the right thing, Barry Hall. He's kicked 79 goals this year. Gwilt was going back hard. You pop it over the top and it's a turnover. This man is a beautiful set shot kick at goal. It's what he's paid to do. Go back and deliver it.
This for his 50th goal in finals. Barry Hall, of course, so many of them with the Swans. But here he is, needing to deliver for the Dogs. And
blood
there's
rule.
a blood rule. It's coming back, and it's a behind.
It's like Zach.
In the meantime, Wolsey and Hutto, because he's gone downstairs, well, they've had a look at him. He's shaken up, obviously. There doesn't appear to be anything structural at this stage, but they're clearly going to have a look at him downstairs. If anything, it's probably down the middle, perhaps the sternum, where he might have actually received some damage.
So there is damage in the St Kilda camp. They trail by 10 points. I think a big stat in the first quarter is the Saints went into the 50 13 times for their one goal. The Dogs went in 9 times and kicked 3.
Well, it'll be interesting to see who goes on to Barry Hall now that Zach Dawson's off. Blake has come on.
Goddard's taken a long time, and in the end he's gone for territory. Blake went up there with Revolt, who couldn't get into the contest. Fisher came away with the spill. Hudson, the big man, that's not where he needs to be, but he has support from Wood and Boyd. And that's a bad hand pass, letting in Schneider. No one between him and the goal. He can go all the way. Williams trying to close. He can't get there, and Schneider kicks it for the Saints.
And he got great protection with that 30-40 metre run from Nick Revolt, who ran alongside him and screamed at him that run and bounce and carry, make sure of it, because I'll protect you. And you can see Revolt running there. He's talking to him and he's saying, keep going, I'll look after you. Well done.
Well, there's Koschitzke on the bench now, feeling for his ribs. There's the bump. It was all solid from Easton Wood, who's just come off the ground. Howie will keep an eye on him. Koschitzke went down underneath. They had a look at him. He's clearly feeling something on the ribs or in the upper rib area, but he does appear to be okay. I don't think it'll be too long until he gets back out on the ground.
Thanks, Andy. That goal somewhat against the flow. May have restored some St Kilda confidence.
Yeah, Mark's there. That's good.
Umpires allowed it to go on, and the mark, free kick down the ground going to Jan Siracusa, who delicately kicks to a man who's been very prominent so far, Dylan Addison, with his role defensively, but also giving them an extra avenue in attack.
His teammates love Dylan Addison because you just know exactly what you're going to get from him. There's much effort, there's much competition. He's brave, went back with the flight here. Not highly skilled, but he did kick a big goal in the final at a crucial stage last week against the Swans.
Played 9 of the first 11 games this year, then didn't come back until very late in the season, but as Das said, a very well respected and popular member of his team, and he's never been so popular as he is right now.
So a quick answer for the Dogs, coming in a regulation way, whereas St Kilda's only goal for the quarter coming in fluky circumstances.
Ross Lyon would be really annoyed that the opposition have taken 5 uncontested marks in their forward 50. That's not Saints footy.
Koschitzke back, Goddard, Hayes, McAvoy, Blake. Goes for Eddie, just charging it a little, easy for Hargrave. Wood, Picken. So the Bulldogs by 10 points and decidedly having the better of it over the last 20 minutes or so of the contest. St Kilda with a lot to think about, coming in with wins in their last 4 games against the Dogs. Here's Ray.
Didn't have the football. Swung
Gets
him
a
down.
free kick.
Swung him down.
So-
Didn't have the football.
St Kilda's ball. But the Saints are struggling to find the way home so far. Oh, Jones, that's an awful looking kick. Here's a head on, and neither man flinched. Picken and Hayes, 2 of the really brave men in the game. Free kick in the end of Picken, who gave to Griffin. Puts that to Murphy's advantage.
Murphy moved forward.
Right in the centre of the ground, steering it to Hahn. The Bulldogs methodical. There's a calm and a method about them. Minson and Hall. Hall flew against the big ruckman. Eagleton just soccers it away. Ray with him, the veteran. Eagleton. No one at the end of that. The line, a good result for the Dogs.
The Clint Jones kick. Now, that is just a shocking effort from an AFL player. And it hurts you. You can see the reaction from Ross Lyon. Can't believe it.
Bulldogs lead by 10. McAvoy and Minson, neither player had a real influence on this game. Goddard starting to find it. Revolt versus Williams. Dogs would be pretty happy with how that's going so far for them, despite Revolt's influence.
Just had 5 possessions, Nick Revolt, no goals, and only the 1 mark so far. And Tom Williams, it's an enormous role to try and keep this man quiet for 4 quarters, but he started very well.
Lots of tackles for St Kilda, but they have been chasing a little. The Dogs showing terrific initiative after the first 10 minutes when things didn't really go St Kilda's way despite their dominance. Wilt and Graham and Hayes sorted out. I don't know how you didn't pick him in the All-Australian team, Rob, as he kicks to the wing. Williams and Revolt. Goddard, it bounces around. Back to Graham. Oh, off the head of a teammate. Things just not falling St Kilda's way. Murphy circling was the St Kilda defence, but the Dogs found a path forward, but only so far as Dawson, who marks in front of Hall.
Hahn proving a good selection for the Bulldogs in these conditions. Bad miss by McAvoy. Saints have got the jitters, and Gilbert's gang tackled. He's gone for holding it.
Hold the ball.
Bulldogs footy.
Trying to barge away through.
Some shocking errors from St Kilda.
Some really uncharacteristic errors. The Saints fumbling, poor skills. You saw Jones's kick before, an absolute shame. Opening the door here for the Dogs.
Jared Grant, the boy perhaps coming of age tonight. Minson, Hall again up against the ruckman. Montagna feeds to Hayes. To Graham and back to Lenny Hayes. Needing to try and pull things together here. He does it well to Milne. Morris arriving though, and he's superior overhead. At ground level, honours might be about even. Pressure on Morris. Support from Ward. Has time. Space. Kicks well. Gilby, good user of the ball. And this is right on the money to Addison. Bulldogs dangerous again to Murphy. Kicked a goal late last week from a little bit closer, and he just got it over the fingers of the pack. So this might test him.
Gee, the Ward kick from half back into the middle of the ground was a beauty. Confidence by the young fella. And that's the Dale Morris spoil on Milne.
That's the height advantage, isn't it, that he has?
Now, Bob Murphy from just outside 50 when he lets it go. They lead by 10 points. He's lost accuracy in the search for distance. Minson kept it alive. Dempster under the pump. Hahn, the big tackle. It touches the post. It's a behind. Hahn once more.
It's a free kick, I reckon, against Hahn.
50 metres, is it?
Is it? For well, he certainly had a mouthful to the umpire, but no.
Really good look at the tackle here, and he's reasonably unlucky there. Dispossessed him, incorrect disposal, but the umpires have been very good so far. Have let the little ones go that you could pay, and I love that style of umpiring. Happy to see free kicks not paid rather than err on paying technical ones.
And I love goalpost cams, Luke, because you see everything up close.
Special comments from Robert Walls and Luke Darcy tonight. Del Santo handballs it straight back into Ward. He's having an influence, and it's committed, and so is Cross. Eagleton. Oh, that was a big moment for him. It didn't turn out the way he would have liked. Zach's back. Takes the mark. Kicks for Peak. Recruited to provide pace and dash to this St Kilda side. Has got better as the season's gone on. Placed ball for Eddie was just slightly imperfect. And that's all it takes for Gilby to come in. And a little nudge was timely. It goes over the line and out of bounds. The margin remains 11.
Great effort here from Daniel Cross. Always commits his body.
Jeez.
Nearly got killed in the process. Egan would like to have done a little better with the time and space he had. It's almost the reverse of the first quarter, where the Saints had all the opportunities, didn't score. The Bulldogs have had heaps of play here, but just haven't quite been able to put it on the scoreboard.
Yes, 1 goal apiece. Another throw in here on the wing. The entry's now 18-17 the Bulldogs' way, so it's been the Dogs 9-4 in this quarter for just 1 goal apiece as the Magpie brains trust and players in the lap of luxury. Look on, lovely and warm. Here's Minson putting the Bulldogs to the 50 again. Johnson almost conjured that. Gilbert, Addison's been excellent. Jones swings it away, just went bang and finds the line.
There's Nathan Buckley. Guys can sit back and just see who it is who will take them on next week for the biggest prize of all. Montagna to half forward. Revolt in chains again, this time from Dale Morris. Hargrave claimed it. Umpire waved it on. Gilby, kick smothered. Well done, McQualter, to lock it in for the Saints.
Yes, and Will Minson back in the forward 50, and you can see no match up there. And this is good coaching by Rodney Eade. He's mixing it up. Minson's gone forward. Also, Ryan Griffin has gone forward.
The kicking efficiency has returned for the Dogs tonight. It's been missing in recent weeks. Got out into the space. Of course, he'll go for Riewoldt. He didn't really place the kick as well as he would have liked. Riewoldt will just have to go for the disciplines centering. And it was too easy to anticipate for Harbrow, who can move it on somewhat dangerously here. Wilt to smash it back in. Montagna needed his wits about him there. And the Dogs again getting plenty of numbers to the contest and make it very difficult for the St Kilda forwards. And we have another ball up.
See Callum Ward going hard at the footy again. They've rolled over Dale Morris onto Riewoldt. No one can play on Nick Riewoldt for the entire game. So you'll see Morris, you'll see Williams, you'll see Lake at stage. But Callum Ward, 15 disposals, leading possession gatherer on the field.
Bulldogs, the more methodical team at the moment. Eddie to Del Santo, drew the tacklers. Montagna, Graham, and now Goddard, the long kicking man, and that's a beauty. Lake is there. Oh, how did he come down with that? He has wonderful judgment, lovely receptive hands, and he delivers here, and they're away. Ward kicking to Johnson's lead. Fisher did enough. Ward kept coming. Boyd there as well, under siege. Saints with numbers here. Ray to Montagna. Peake. Hayes. Good break out of the middle by the Saints. Hayes forced wide. Riewoldt edged off it by Gilby. Well done by Gilby. Very well done by Gilby. He wins the contest against the Saints trump and wins it hands down. But he kicks to Eagleton with the numbers heavily stacked against him, and it's coming back in a hurry. A Gwilt long ball. Riewoldt couldn't mark it. Harbrow too quick, too good down low for Koschitzke. Outstanding last week, doing pretty well again here, and running onto his wrong side. Couldn't straighten, but delivers well to Griffin.
To the Bulldogs' defensive mettle being tested here. At the moment, they are standing very resolute.
I think the message will come from Ross Lyon to Justin Koschitzke. He cannot, under any circumstances, allow Brian Lake to outmark him. Has to bring it to ground.
Hargrave has to work it around the corner to a tight one-on-one with Blake and Grant. Jones went to the wrong side. Ward, Wilt, and that's out on the full. And the Bulldogs have really squeezed the Saints. It is something like what the Saints often hand out to opposition sides. And the Bulldogs lead by 11 with a growing belief. Hall doesn't go for that one. And the ball ends up wandering back over the boundary line.
Dale Morris coming off. Williams coming on to go on to Riewoldt. And Gilbert in picture there. Addison has been his opponent. Addison's done a really good job, set himself up to be used a few times.
Just one goal apiece for the quarter. Goddard gains a lot of territory and got it into a good spot. Riewoldt to Schneider. McWalter back to Schneider, and Riewoldt testing distance out there.
Well, he's run and he's run and he's run. He's got to be fatigued. His opponent had to come off Morris because he was blown up. Riewoldt stayed out there, been out there all game.
So a miss from comfortable range from a set shot in the first quarter. He carries a huge responsibility within this team. This is a moment. It's not a good kick.
And look at Nick Riewoldt. He's been on the ground for every second, been up and down across wings, and I reckon he struggled for a bit of distance there because he's pretty weary. Hasn't had a spell at all.
So the Bulldogs, with Brian Lake at his best tonight, not shown there by his kick. Gilbert, Riewoldt calling for it. And again, he's the target, but again, the kick goes straight back to Brian Lake. It's kick to kick, and Riewoldt's getting frustrated.
He's going off his head at that kick. He just turned around and he jumped and he just said, "You are kidding. I've got to get better service than that." He's fuming.
Lake kicks it back towards some big tall timber, but Hahn outmarks them all. Marks in front of the likes of Gardner and Dempster and Goddard and starts to direct traffic. Big Will Minson's just been able to sneak on the ground. He's gone down towards the goal square, but they can't get it past centre half forward. So Barry Hall is off the ground at the moment. The Dogs have renovated their forward line in the short term. This is Sam Fisher with the footy.
Next goal is big here, if there is one before half-time. It'll be a nice break for the Dogs. It would close the
I tell you what, they are dumb. These St Kilda players are dumb. You do not kick it long to where Brian Lake is on the ground, and they've repeatedly done it. No wonder Revolt's going off his head. And they're set kicks. They've had a chance to look downfield. They're not rushed. They are not too bright.
He's had 4 marks from opposition kicks, Brian Lake.
There's Griffin. Kept his cool. Hargrave and Minson. Perfect kick from Ryan Hargrave. Minson wanting to go. They're wanting to move it quickly. Couldn't do so there. Has Johnson along the boundary line, and that might be where he heads. It's a horrible kick from Minson. A spiralling, wobbling mongrel, and Sam Fisher marks it. The coach, one suspects, is not terribly happy with that little bit of disposal.
They have to get something out of Schneider, Goddard and Del Santo.
That was butchered straight back to Griffin, who has a couple of options through centre half forward. He's offset the umpire, and now he's got less time to make a decision. Revolt with a desperate lunge, but Brad Johnson still zipping around, trying to turn back the clock. And even though he didn't do that well, in the end he got it to a man. And Gilby almost found Wood. The former Dog Ray had an influence. Jones over the footy. They close.
Johnson's down behind play. Trainers, you can see him the back part of your screen there, and he looks really, really sore. Take a look at the effort launched after it. And knee in the ribs.
Oh, blood coming out too.
Free kick paid, unnecessary contact. And it goes to Lenny Hayes, who's coming up for his 16th disposal. And he looks to spread it wide to Gilbert. So the tension building here at the MCG. We're 4 minutes from half-time.
Saints build again. One-on-one. Lake has been superb. Lovely clean fist on that. Everything he's done has been done with maximum clarity.
Richmond Bulldogs, sorry Tim, have been inside 50 19 times. Barry Hall has only been the target once, which is a really interesting statistic because they were criticised earlier in the year for being too focused on him. He's actually on the bench having a spell. In fact, they've just got him back out, so they are spreading the load around.
Johnson wanted to go on, but realised he just had to leave for the sake of the team there, I fancy. And there'll be a ball up.
And Tim, for the last 3 minutes while all this has been going on, Nick Del Santo's been down the race and underneath with the doctor and the physio. Not sure what the problem is. We'll try and find out and let you know.
Saints dominating the clearances. They win another one through Hayes. Free kick to Milne.
Milne's back.
And he is within range. That is a big call.
Gee, we'll have a look at that.
Dale Morris from behind. Not actually collapsing on top of him.
I reckon he's very fortunate to get this. Very fortunate.
He's kicked one. He hasn't kicked a second. He hasn't even got close. That was a horror.
This is turning into a strange night at the MCG. Lake to the wing. Gilbert, I reckon he's infringed there, Gilbert. Yep.
Against Sam Gilbert. Punched him in the back before the ball got there. Right there.
And it's Hudson's ball. So with 3 minutes or so remaining, Bulldogs hanging on to a 10-point lead. Minson the target. Hahn waits down, went through his fingers. Dawson uncertain what to do with it. Found a good target in Jones, who can work it well with Fisher and Graham and Big McAvoy. They need a ruckman to do something here. Can he run? Can he take on the opportunity? Slicing through centre half forward. An eternity to think about it. He thought positive thoughts, and he lands the goal.
Well, it goes back to Zach Dawson, who got that ball in heavy traffic on the wing. He didn't panic. He just had a look and he fed the handball through. They got the ball into the centre corridor with a couple of relayed passes. And the big ruckman, I reckon he ran his full measure, Luke. He ran every bit of 15 metres before he unloaded on the boot. That's a really important goal for St Kilda just before half-time.
is the big ruckman McAvoy. Now, I reckon the defenders peeled off and said, we're happy for you to have a shot, but unfortunately, from a Bulldog point of view, he was able to run almost the full journey to 30 and a big, important goal at a crucial stage.
Remember that late goal for the Bulldogs last week against Sydney? Well, there's like 2 goals late in the first half.
Williams holds up the Saints, gives to Morris. Murphy attacking it. Gilbert, Peake. Slipping from Hargrave, but forced back. Wilt, a left footer, wanting to straighten, and the time he took to straighten cost him. The Bulldogs don't waste any time. Murphy goes for broke, goes for home, and just under pressure pulls it. It was a great attempt.
Yeah, I reckon that's fantastic that he took the challenge on Robert Murphy. Good tackle there by young Jared Grant.
Just a lack of awareness from Gwilt, though. I mean, he had a look, and Ross Lyon, you can see, you just have to know you're going to get mowed down in a final with the pressure and the stakes there. And Gwilt, he was just in cruise mode.
Gee, Jared Grant, has he got some toe?
So Gwilt forced to go long here. Fisher, Goddard and Revolt called upon. At the back, Williams, it all fell for him. He kicks to Mr. Invisible in the pocket, but Jared Grant has got the pace to burn, and he got there somehow. And, oh, that's a big call, isn't it? He can't get out of the maze. Robert Murphy didn't panic. Oh, the flare came from an unlikely source of Picken. He kicked one great goal already. It's a good night to start turning it on. Liam Picken around goal, but he just misses there.
Well, young Pickens kept Goddard to 10 disposals. I reckon he's done a good job in this first half.
6-point lead to the Dogs. Andy Marr.
Yeah, Tim, still Nick Del Santo. As we said, he went downstairs about 5 minutes ago. He hasn't returned to the bench, so they're obviously working on something downstairs with him that's taking some time and causing some concern.
Good win this by the Bulldogs. Eagleton to Hahn, just couldn't hold it.
And you might want to keep an eye on Robert Murphy, who's limping off through the interchange as well. He banged his knee up badly in that last contest. You can see straight over to the doctor, Gary Zimmerman.
So 40 metres around from goal. 90 seconds for either team to hit the board again. Hayes guides it. Kazitsky nowhere to head to next. Revolt versus about 3 Bulldogs is the equation at this stage. We wouldn't count him out, even with the odds against him at that level.
Don't kick it to Brian Lake.
Well, he kicks it long, hoping that Revolt can take the mark. He can't. Johnson with the slap away. Hahn. There's Ray. He hesitated, and he was lost pretty quickly afterwards. And it's going to be a ball up.
Daniel Cross on screen there has been running around for the main with Nick Del Santo, and has done an outstanding job. Just 8 possessions for Del Santo. They've rolled the dice and let Hayes go. Hayes has got 18.
It is a thrilling knife-edge struggle, and a goal in the last 50 seconds would be of huge value. Hahn with the left for Hall, but it's too wide. Throw in. Still time enough for either side, although if anyone's going to kick a goal, it's more likely to be the Dogs with the ball at their 50. Minson brought it down, was after Johnson, just missed him. Blake taking it closer to the Bulldogs' goal. Big McAvoy. Ray keeping it in play, but the only man there is Cross, and there's still time for the Dogs. Going the long route via the Cape. Williams. I wonder if they know that we're well into the last minute. Addison back to Cross. Needs to hoist it to the 50 now. I don't think he does know. It was worth the risk, but time's going to beat them now. Siren might sound before a mark could be affected. So it is half-time. It is a thriller. It is the Bulldogs by 6 points at halfway in the second preliminary final.
Well, last night was a blowout. That had all the build-up. This, many thought, would go St Kilda's way. But what we can tell you now is we have a fantastic contest. There's a lot to talk about at half-time. Stay with us. It's the Bulldogs with a big chance. They lead by 6.
against young Pickman. So Goddard, Del Santo needs to lift for them. And certainly Kosicki and Snyder in the forward line have to get goals on the board.
So a half to go for a spot in the 2010 Grand Final, and it's the Bulldogs footy. Ward was very good in the first half. Ball taken wide here. Schneider for St Kilda finds the opening as the waters parted around him and probes in the Kosicki-Riewoldt direction. Lake nearly marked it again. He's in strife here. He took them on. And Del Santo, who has lined up at the start of the half, got hold of him, delivers with the non-preferred and did it beautifully. And Milne can have a crack at them.
Big tackle there, wasn't it? Really well done, Del Santo. Some doubts about his hamstring. Not easy to get down Lake. It's a big play. Open it up for Milne here.
Kicked one in the first quarter at this end. This for an early equaliser. It starts on a good line. It is on a perfect line all the way. It's dead level.
There's a couple of big bonuses about that. One, Saints get an early goal. Second is Nick Del Santo has been able to go and apply some pressure, which means that you would hope his hamstring is going to be okay. They really do need his impact. Milne gets a couple. Scores back to level.
Andy and Howie down at ground level. From up top, I reckon the conditions look like they're the best they've been for the game because it was very slippery early.
Absolutely spot on, Wolsey. Hasn't rained since the start of the game. MCG dries so quickly, you're spot on.
And I reckon that might suit the Saints, particularly with Riewoldt and Kosicki up there.
Eddie and the Saints are starting to run on top of the ground. Riewoldt absorbed all the pressure, won the footy, and again just can't put the finishing touches on. But St Kilda are in front for the first time since late in the first quarter.
Just the benefit of a couple of clear and quick centre clearances. That gives an open forward line. Riewoldt a chance one-on-one on Williams, and their forwards have been able to win those two battles early.
Three behinds to Riewoldt. Long ball Morris. Montagna nearly marked it. Saints have started well here. Good placement Montagna. Del Santo. Riewoldt might get another go at them. He won't. He'll give it away. Big Gardner. Couple of stumbling steps. A long kick. And it's there. And the Saints have kicked two in a couple of minutes.
Oh, hang on.
Drama.
Have you signalled goal yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay, just, because you haven't waved. Okay, it's all clear.
Now, goal cam will be handy here.
Well, while you've been away, the umpire has reversed his decision and said that Brian Lake touched this. It was certainly inside the line if he did.
Okay, it's all
Let's
clear.
get back to live action. And the Dogs steadfast for the moment, but they are being squeezed mercilessly here from the Saints. Hayes under some pressure there. The ball goes back over the line and out of bounds.
St Kilda supporters absolutely upset completely. They can't believe that the field umpire would overrule the goal umpire. Goal umpire seemed to be in a perfect position. That's what's happened.
Goddard with the tap.
Yours.
Or was it the boundaries?
I reckon it was.
Yeah. Clearing kick came from Boyd. Out to the wing, but a bit of a wall built here by St Kilda. Pretty familiar story, the way they like to set up. And that's a fortuitous kick, which is marked by Goddard. They look like they're full of purpose now, the Saints. Sharp kick from Goddard. Hits Riewoldt on the lead.
That is the benefit of Brendan Goddard, his ability to use it by foot. No one has been able to kick the footy like that in these conditions tonight. Look at that pass. Low, hard, undefendable.
So
this kick has to go through for the captain's confidence and the team's.
Hasn't been able to kick one tonight. Nick Riewoldt on the runway. It's tight, but he knows it's home.
You just see Goddard opened up the space, and you just can't kick the footy any better than that from Brendan Goddard. You can almost see the smile on Nick Riewold's face when he turned around and realised Goddard had it. A massive confidence booster for the captain.
Well, you can see there the domination by St Kilda early in this third term. Del Santo has moved to centre half forward. We saw him pass with his right foot, his non-preferred. I wonder if he can kick with his left foot. It'll be interesting as this quarter unfolds to have a look at the champ to see if he can use that left boot of his.
The Bulldogs so valiant through the first half, but the challenge has come now. St Kilda in front and with momentum. Ward wins it away again. Well fisted away by Fisher. Wilt. Gilbert. Pair of left footers. Gilbert switches, gets back onto his right. Got himself into trouble. Now young Grant gets it to Jan Siracusa. To Boyd. He improvised. He didn't get it right. He kicked it straight to Schneider. The Saints hold up. The wind is suddenly blowing against the Bulldogs, at least in a metaphorical sense. It's not a great kick. Riewoldt will make it good, though. Suddenly he's having a huge influence. To Dempster. Back to Schneider. Montagna running straight into Hargraves. Steely tackle. Gilbert there to help out, though, for the Saints. Del Santo couldn't control it. Dogs get it back. Hahn. Poor kick. St Kilda with numbers. Del Santo to Graham. It's wide open up front. And Gardner, whose kick didn't carry home a while ago. He has Koschitzke up there on his own. He's got it. And he'll be lining them up.
Well done, Michael Gardner there. He just chanced his arm. He ran away from the contest. Hudson was trapped around trying to win the footy. And you can just see all on his own. And that just split apart the Bulldog defence. Morris had to come out and leave his man. Left Koschitzke on his own. And Gardner was able to get the kick there just in enough time.
Uncontested marks in the forward 50 to the Saints. There's been 4 in this quarter already.
This is Justin Koschitzke's 4th preliminary final. He has not kicked a goal in one of them. It's not a good record. Here's his chance to try and start righting the wrongs of the past. And he's done it beautifully, and the Saints have skipped away.
That'll do his confidence a world of good. Justin Koschitzke, and you can just see this again. It was, in the end, actually quite a good kick from Gardner because the Dogs' defence were closing rapidly. Had to hit it right. And Koschitzke was able to deliver a very important goal.
Well, the Saints have kicked 3 goals in the first 7 minutes of this third quarter, and you would reckon, Luke, that the week's rest may well be coming into play. Bulldogs desperately need to get the next goal, otherwise big trouble.
Saints have dominated the clearances all night, and now the Saints are really starting to press. Goddard was able to slide through, and he might well have nailed another one. No, it fades. Stephen Milne in the pocket was jumping for joy, thinking that it was going to land. It didn't. The margin is 15. It's starting to get deadly dangerous for the Bulldogs.
Been hurt in the clearances early out of the centre. The Saints have really come out and won some clear possession from the contest.
Wood to Minson. The line was the best he could do. The Dogs scarcely advancing beyond the centre in 9 minutes of the quarter, in which St Kilda have suddenly gained traction.
7-1 the inside 50s for the quarter, Tim, in favour of the Saints.
Minson getting the better of it against McAvoy. Down to Griffin, to Hahn. Now here's a chance for them. Hahn able to kick it where he wants, but St Kilda with the numbers. And Wilt's in control. To Blake with men running left and right. Gilbert, Dempster. And the Saints make a safe and cohesive takeaway. Peake played for Fremantle in a preliminary final in 2006. Finds Milne, who's the only multiple goal kicker of the night so far. His 2 goals, a big contribution.
Well, Cozzy and Riewoldt crash into each other.
He's hurt. He is. He's knocked out, Riewoldt. He's got his arms up, and that is a really bad concussion. That is, that when you reach for the sky like that, he's going to get up and be okay. But
gee, he's cracking hard, Lukey. He was in trouble, wasn't he?
Had that look in his eye, that glazed look of someone who's just suffered a bad concussion.
Just interested as to how he's holding his shoulder. I thought it might be a little sore for a moment, but he seems okay. He's calling for the footy here. This will be the test. He's straight back into the thick of the action. And
gee, that was amazing vision, wasn't it?
Should they have him off just for a couple of minutes to give him a break?
Just see the elbow to the head from Cozzy.
Cozzy again.
There's the eyes.
And there's another tangle.
I'm watching the video.
It's like something out of a scary movie. And for St Kilda fans, a particularly scary one.
He seems fine.
He's working his way back towards the goal square. About 40 metres away from the contest. You can see him in your top right of screen. Griffin improvised with the ruckman. Hayes couldn't get clear. Gilbert found something of a path. Ray heaved it on. Crucial ball to be won, and Pete, the recruit, somehow finds a way through. What an incredible start to this third quarter by St Kilda.
It's a massive 50-50 contest, this one. Bulldogs had momentarily possession, and then it just spilled out to Pete. Really are getting hurt badly in the clearance situations. Nick Riewoldt has a word to the medical staff, and they've given him the thumbs up.
Righto, Luke, you know these Bulldogs better than anybody. 4 goals against them, quick goals, game slipping away, chance to play in a grand final. Who's got to step up?
This is the moment to do it. They'll go to Boyd, they'll go to Cross and Griffin, their midfielders who were able to do it. That's a brilliant effort from Callum Ward.
He gets the free kick they want to play on. But no, umpire Stevic says for the team's sake it should come back now. Griffin.
21 disposals, Callum Ward tonight. Sorry, Tim.
They've got to kick the next goal. If the next goal is kicked by the Saints, it's just about gone for the Bulldogs. For another year, a 7th consecutive preliminary final. 2 Saints up together there. Picken not able to escape with the goodies. Ball up. There's some high contact, no doubt about that. Ward got the free kick. Goddard controlling it. Jones. He delayed, he's gone. It was a fine tackle by Picken.
There's something they haven't really been able to do effectively in this quarter, is actually put pressure on at half forward. A big tackle from Picken.
He's going to bomb it in and hope big Bazza can produce the goods. But Goddard fisted away straight to Gilby. Pretty much a standing start. He is a good kick, and I reckon it's home untouched. And the Dogs pull one back. It's back to 15.
Yeah, on the back of brilliant tackle from Liam Picken. There it is, incorrect disposal from Jones, and got a couple of big efforts, didn't they? Callum Ward put his head over the foot. He won a big clearance. Liam Picken traps it inside 50. Good front and centre. Fell into the hands of the right man, Lindsay Gilby, who was a great kick of the footy.
So it's back to 15 points.
And again, Del Santo playing deep forward. I don't mind that because he's a smart player. He's a creative player.
McAvoy beaten in the end by Minson. Boyd, Picken. Able to absorb a couple of tackles there. Griffin with a hurried kick though out wide makes the job difficult for Hahn. And Montagna had it covered. He had the extra body. He used it well. Brill gives it back to Montagna. Saints to centre half forward. Kaczynski came through. Perfect stuff for Milne. High one underneath it. Time to get nervous if you're a defender. Goddard has given away the free.
Swung the arm back.
Yeah. And
It was accidental, but you got him high. Giving the
Picken.
yeah, this was the area where we thought that Picken could struggle, but he's caught him accidentally on the chin, has Goddard. That's
Once.
the one.
And then twice.
not someone to lay down Liam Picken unless he's badly hurt, and that is a really heavy blow through the elbow back.
The umpire's determined that it was accidental, but
Picken being on his feet in the vertical position is good news for Brendan Goddard.
yeah, I agree. Gilby, some hesitation initially. Vincent working hard for him. He was a little more ambitious with the kick, but Gardner was quite happy to ride up over the top. He has some options. He goes for Goddard again. Revolt's there. He could give to Kosicki. Revolt to Kosicki and a behind. Maybe Revolt should have just had the shot himself.
So it's the Saints by 16 points. Gardner having an influence in this quarter.
Inside 50s, third quarter, 10-4.
Gilby has kicked the Dogs' only goal for the term. Brings it into Lake. Takes it very wide.
Goddard coming off. Picken following him to the boundary line.
Bulldogs got on top in the second quarter with their kicking efficiency up around 78%.
Have a look at this.
It's on.
Have a look at this. The St Kilda runner's given the Bulldog player a bump.
I reckon if it was the home and away season, Goddard might have a week off over that. But with the grand final coming up, if the Saints are in it, there just might be an edge of leniency. Seems to be the way of things. Montagna to Hayes. Good ball into half forward. The champion's up. Milner's down. He's under pressure from Morris. Fights on. Big Hudson giving it off to Wood. Cross. Back to Wood. Running into Gwilt. Finding Cross somehow. Nothing on the end of that though. And the Saints playing with confidence now. Fisher. Revolt's found space. He's got men leading. He goes the cross for Schneider with the sit. Couldn't hold on. Gilby's at him. Schneider gets away. And he can run just about all the way. All the way. And drive it home for his second. And again, the Saints stretch it to 22 points. They are getting the better of it.
And a great kick by Nick Revolt. He took that mark from Fisher. There's the Fisher kick. He has Kosicki in his sights, and he says, no, I'm going to go the long option, square it up. Pretty good effort there by Gilby not to give away a free kick, but then this little fella who needed to do something special delivered a run to bounce a ball, Cassell the dummy, couple of them, and pumps it through.
And Nick Revolt's been involved in 5 scoring efforts this quarter for St Kilda. So having an influence.
It was always going to be the big worry, wasn't it, that Nick Revolt had a quiet first half. At some stage, he just thought he would stand up and impart himself on this game. And he's certainly done that in the early part of this third term.
They've broken loose and lead by 22. Cross. They have to dig here, the Dogs. And it's Eagleton with a wandering kick. The Brad Johnson just couldn't stand up. And he needed to be able to take the mark. Jones, and this has got a familiar look about it now for the Saints.
Just been getting out of half back a little too easily, the Saints. And again,
machine clicking into gear. Dawson held up in his tracks for a little while, but he still is able to find Blake, and they're happy enough to settle, knowing they have a 22-point lead. But Ray working hard for him on the wing. Next link in the chain will be McGualter if he wants him.
They've got the run going, Hutto, and this is the team that had the week off, the fresh legs. It's starting to show in this second half.
Like you said, though, the improved conditions have aided them, I suspect, at the start of this second half. This is Gwilt.
This is a pattern they like to get into, St Kilda. They're happy to hold on, maintain possession. They love denying the opposition control the footy, particularly when they've got momentum. So they'll be happy just to settle in, take a bit of a breather and hold on to the footy.
Gwilt can go to Graham.
20 marks to 4. They are controlling the footy. 20 marks to 4 in this third term.
He goes to Gilbert with a bit of a run up. Through half forward on the fly. Gilbert, big kick to full forward. Revolt again. Can't take it this time. Peak. He's found a good time to hit some form. Del Santo, Revolt. They've upped the ante, the Saints, and the skipper delivers again. Oh, they're going to be hard to stop from here.
And there he is, Nick Revolt. Just absolutely works as hard, maybe harder than anyone else in the game. And eventually he gets rewarded for his enormous effort. He's just blown opponents up now for the best part of 8 or 9 years in this great game of AFL football. And again, look at him go, just able to do it all front and centre. Tom Williams was able to hold on for a fair bit of the first half, but now Riewoldt has just exploded into this game.
This is a powerful burst. It's a match-winning burst by the Saints. 28-point lead. The Dogs not getting their hands on the footy. And Mick Malthouse now with something to think about.
Well, in a way, he knows who he's going to play, I would suggest, Tim, because at half-time he wouldn't have been sure. You'd think it would be St Kilda on what we've seen in this 20 minutes of the third term.
Gardner having a big go at it off the ground, but miscued it. Williams, Gilby and Eagleton can escape here. And have a look. He sees Hall on the lead. He got just enough on the kick, but it was well done by Dawson reaching around from behind. Here's Big Will. Clean hands. The hand pass not quite up to it. John Syracuse have been quiet. Addison off the left. Just missed in the heat of the moment.
Gee, almost Barry Hall. Almost John Syracuse.
Montagna to Gwilt. Gilbert.
Just again,
Kosicki
get through half back without a lot of pressure. If they play Collingwood next week, it won't be that easy.
Goddard could have gone to Fisher, but went more direct because Riewoldt's hot. It's falling for them now. Gardner runs in. There's Bulldogs heartbreaking all around the MCG.
And Hutto, guess who was part of that goal?
Riewoldt again.
Riewoldt again. It has been one of the best quarters of the season by an individual and came at a time when his team needed it.
He was just about knocked out in the midst of it. He is a true champion.
Just can't allow sides of this quality to be able to run through half back without enormous amount of pressure. They got it into the hands of Goddard, and that just exposes your defensive half of the ground in a one-on-one situation. Look at the space. Gardner has been massive in this game. He's pushed hard. He's really tried to work Ben Hudson over. Got a lot of pace and a real desire to work hard, Michael Gardner.
7 goals in 22 minutes from St Kilda. The sort of football we weren't sure that they could play. Been such a doer team, a low-scoring team, but they are turning it on here. The Bulldogs trying to counter-attack. Ward, who's been good to Picken. Swinging ball. Minson. Blake did well for the Saints. Dempster there to collect it. To Graham, such a star in last year's grand final defeat. Long ball for Gardner, having a good quarter. He hit that hard. It's won by McWalter, but flicking it on only to Harbrow. Here's Murphy for the Bulldogs. Contact coming. He shook off Milne. Well played, Murphy. Good left foot kick. And Grant, but he's a long way out.
How good's Bob Murphy's balance there? Just kept his feet.
360 and then able to deliver on the non-preferred foot.
They have given it a wonderful shot for a half, but it's all catching up with the Dogs right now. They need young Jared Grant to start the climb back right here. It's near side.
They had the footy a fair bit in that second quarter, Das, didn't they? And early in that second, and maybe just didn't do enough with it.
Sure, shot of David Morgan looking on there. You're exactly right. No, they really did have a lot of the play, a lot of opportunities inside 50, and didn't get any real scoreboard pressure.
To be fair, St Kilda did for the first 10 minutes or so of the game, but nonetheless,
it's such a familiar story in their games against St Kilda, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Morris centering ball. They're not going to go away, the Dogs, at least not easily. But things have certainly changed. Blake on the way out to Riewoldt again. You have to love him.
What a superstar this man is. And we know that Collingwood await the winner of this game. And I know Mick Malthouse, we've seen Nick Maxwell, Nathan Butler, other Collingwood players here tonight. The rest are watching at home. And there'll be so much focus if St Kilda get through on what you can do to try and stop Nick Riewoldt.
And it'll be fascinating to see whether he will think, he said this morning, Mick, they will think about Simon Prestigiacomo, which would be a big call to come back into the side after missing so much footy. But that's ahead during the week. At the moment, this game is still alive for the Bulldogs. They trail by 32 points, though. It's going to be tough Dempster with the high ball, the wide ball. Del Santo.
Yeah, can't run fast.
Yeah, he can't. Well, that's going to be a real focus of the week if the Saints do get through.
He's got a bit of a problem, but they are playing him permanent forward, and he's not going to rip whatever he's got. So he's got some sort of a strain, I would suggest. Talking about third quarter efforts by captains, I saw a beauty in round 1 of the finals, Judd's third quarter against Sydney. I reckon maybe Nick Riewoldt is even better. And aren't we lucky to be able to see stars do it when it matters?
It's what distinguishes them. Graham here to Ray, to Peake, a little fumble. Ray, Graham, just trying to set it up and release somebody, but in the end it might be the Bulldogs who are released. Gilby to Jones, Siracusa to Grant.
Oh, it's on here, Barry Hall and Dempster.
Again, St Kilda's defence in control. Advantage called, Goddard to Schneider. Can't see anything to go to, so he'll hold it up. Tell us the story, Hutto.
I only caught the end of it. Sydney teammates they were, Dempster and Hall. He certainly was fired up, Baz, on his way to the bench. He's cooling the Jets at the moment.
Harbrow is on Riewoldt at the moment. Riewoldt just put his hand up to Peake. So kick it to me.
Big high ball inside the 50. They've got the taste for it, the Saints, at the moment. Harbrow, though, able to control it and work it for Grant. And here's Harbrow again. Griffin kicks before he was put under pressure, but
it's a blind kick.
It is. It's aimless, and it's all St Kilda back there. Peake just had the jitters for a moment, and Hahn needs to make him pay. He needed to make sure of it more than that. Let's have a look at what did happen with Barry and Sean.
Well, they're both premiership teammates from Sydney.
Sean Dempster knows enough to
get out of there quickly.
It was a Maxi Walker kick from Hahn off the wrong foot.
Tangled.
31-point lead to the Saints. A winning third quarter, you'd imagine. Bulldogs just 5 goals for the night. They're going to have to kick at least that from here to win the game. Dempster to Montagna. Saints moving it with confidence now. Koschitzki's their hope here, but he's double teamed, and Morris takes it comfortably for the Bulldogs. To Hargrave. Cross. Hargrave again. Through the middle, but straight to Gilbert, who led Lindsay Gilby to the footy. 2 Gilbys. The Saints, Gilby wins.
Over to Farron Ray.
Against St Kilda are always happy just to maintain possession. They love doing this. They take their time. We've seen them score really heavily in this quarter, and a lot of people will be sitting saying, why don't you press on and try and make it a 10-goal quarter? But if they see an opening, they'll just slow the game down, try and deny the opposition the footy.
7 goal to 1 quarter, Luke, and you're right. They'll say, well, we've really had a terrific quarter. Let's just keep control of it. Gee, he's down again, Riewoldt.
Big clash it was. Riewoldt took a while to move. The umpire's paid the free against Riewoldt. Well, no, he hasn't. He's paid a trip to Williams. Was against Riewoldt. A trip. Now they're inside 50. Brad Johnson just can't shake loose of Blake at the moment, and Grant and Gwilt know the inevitable was the ball was going out of bounds.
And Luke, you're talking about St Kilda keeping possession of the football. Have a look at that. Time in possession, and that is why this team is always a chance to beat anyone. They control the tempo of the game.
Now,
they control the tempo of the game by keeping it in their hands. 4 of their defenders are amongst the top 7 mark takers in the competition. And that's because they just chip it around, they control it, they don't give it to the opposition, and it frustrates the opposition because they can't get their hands on it.
So 90 seconds left. Oh, Dawson. Horrible kick.
He can do that.
Well, he won't be penalised for kicking it out deliberately, and in the end, he probably got a reasonable result, bearing in mind how bad it was. Suddenly, St Kilda using the ball much more effectively than their opponents. Their captain can have a rest. Del Santo, too. Here's Boyd for the Bulldogs. Oh, good mark by Blake.
He's an unsung hero, Joe Blake. He just does his job week in, week out back there.
Been there since this St Kilda era. Mark 1 and 2 started under Grant Thomas. He was in that team in 2004 that nearly won a preliminary final in Adelaide.
And Grant Thomas used to use him as a ruckman.
Saw the stat there on screen before, kicking efficiency. Ben Hudson's ball here to Hahn again. You've got to kick the ball well if you are to beat St Kilda.
Here's Milne behind the wing. He's gaining a few metres at Wood. Gee, he's made his presence felt a couple of times in physical exchanges. There have been plenty of those tonight, and this is another. Eddie stolen almost by Boyd. Ward there to help him. Dawson got his body over it, drew the push in the back from Hahn. St Kilda's ball again.
And Mitch Hahn clumsy in the tackle situation again, gives away too many free kicks and bullet a gate stuff.
A late goal would have been so valuable to the Western Bulldogs, but as it is, they are going to stare at a 31-point margin. It would take a miracle from there. Or maybe a few kicks like that from St Kilda. But the margin is over 5 goals, Dennis. But they have it in them.
That's the quarter you talk about, Nick Riewoldt. 9 disposals, 5 contested possessions, 2 goals, 1 of the 11 scores. He set up 7 of them. That is a man on screen there. He was a genuine superstar of the competition, Tim, and he is the difference in that quarter.
They call it the Premiership quarter. I'm not sure about that, Hutto, but it is the grand final quarter, I reckon, for the Saints.
It seems that way. Brad Johnson could be looking at his last quarter of AFL footy. Look at me. He's pretty happy.
Two.
For the Western Bulldogs and St Kilda in this preliminary final, 31 points. It's a huge obstacle. Let's see how they go.
Yes, the Bulldogs are going to have to do pretty much what St Kilda did to them in that term. The Dogs gaining the early meterage, but they've got to win the football, something they just couldn't do in the third term. And Goddard gets it out here to Gwilt. Revolt out beyond the 50. Koschitzki in trouble, down at his bootlaces. Harbrow takes it away. Gives to Boyd. He has a call from Grant out on the wing, but he chooses the corridor. Ward. 25 uses of the ball for the night. From Ward to Cross. Hargrave. Really got to attack here. Goes for Johnson. Game 364 as he stares footballing mortality square in the eye.
Got an idea there of the A1 game plan of the Bulldogs. They love to use it well by foot. They like to change direction and move through the corridor. It's worked at times, but other times the pressure of St Kilda has just been too much.
Jones to Milne. Back to the wing, Revolt. Controlling the airwaves at the MCG. Delight to see him in full flight.
See in front there, when he pushes up, look at the space behind. They've got no one inside 50. And they like to run back hard here if Schneider can pick it up cleanly.
Went for Schneider, who's just been able to draw some contact that was deemed illegal. Koschitzki back inside the 50. And Tagner and now Revolt also taking his place. You can see him about 40 out from goal. A little sloppy. A kick for Goddard. Cross in his wake. Back for Gwilt.
He's been really good, Will.
He has 20 disposals for the night.
He's Revolt again.
One-on-one. Engaging him was Morris. Eddie with the fumble. Scratching around the 50. One fatal handball away from letting another goal in. And it's still in that precarious position. And now it's in the hands of Graham. Addison's kept on having a crack all night, and so has Picken. He lays a big tackle there.
Ross Lionel really enjoyed that passage of play. In 2009, St Kilda took this aspect of the game almost to a level we'd never seen before. Tackle pressure inside your forward 50. In 2010, Collingwood have gone past them as the best side, but they are starting to recapture their best tonight.
I hope Jason Graham is okay. He was wincing in pain. High ball from Ray. Revolt again. He is unstoppable.
Marked it on his chest. It's a big mongrel floater that came towards him, and he was still able to mark it on his chest. There should have been a bulldog fist on that.
Oh dear, he was in pain straight away, Jason Graham. You can see the leg, the groin, you would think getting caught there.
Grabbed it straight away, didn't he?
Oh, Collingwood fans will just be sitting back pretty comfortably in their chair, I suspect. Here's Riewoldt. Would like to put another one of these or two in the bank for next week. The Saints are going to be there. They lead by 37.
See Riewoldt getting his big frame in front. Dale Morris. Incredible effort to get out there and play tonight, Morris. 3 weeks out with a fractured back. Not easy when you have to then line up with one of the great players in the game.
It looked a genuine concern, didn't it, Hutto? He's going to try and play through this, Jason Graham. He's had a word with the physio. Physio's gone back to the bench. Graham's done some stretching himself, and he's going to try and push through this and see if it isn't as bad as he perhaps first feared.
Well, Andy, he was St Kilda's best player last year in the grand final, in my opinion.
If they'd got over the line, he was a Norm Smith medalist.
Yes, he had
Most
30
people think-
disposals in that game.
So they need him.
Throw it up here, guys.
He can't be too badly hurt. You wouldn't think they could afford right now to wrap him in cotton wool if he was. Goddard clears for the Saints. Eddie crashes through. He's been strong in the clinches tonight. Good bounce for Schneider. Lovely kick. Here's Riewoldt. Oh, he was coming head on, but he left it for the other big man, who is Captain Calamity. And Cozzy took the mark and should kick the goal.
You almost want to tell Nick Riewoldt, it's okay to stop.
Yeah.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah.
Look how hard he's gone at this. And
Just watch out for your teammate, because
I reckon he knew it was Cozzy there, so he pulled out.
Because he plays with the blinkers on, doesn't he? But anyway, good for his confidence to take that mark against Brian Lake. And if he gets this goal, even better. And it just means that Riewoldt and Koschitzke, the two big fellas, and Milne and Schneider, they're their 4 main goal kickers. They've had a good night.
Kicked one in the third quarter. Kicks another one now. It's all coming together. The Saints have it in the bag.
Well, he's conceded for now. He's come off talking to the physio there, Jason Graham. You can see it. It's that right groin. Look, he doesn't appear to be too concerned about it right now, but they're getting to work on it right now. And we're just going to have to keep our fingers crossed for him.
Andy, has Del Santo got a tracksuit on, or is he likely to come back on?
No, look, he's been up and about, Wolsey, just doing some run-throughs. They worked on his calves at 3/4 time. There's no bandages anywhere. I reckon if he was required, they'd throw him back onto the ground right now. It's a bit of a mystery, really, but he does appear okay.
Well, clearly there's an issue with him. He spent 6 minutes off the ground at the start of this quarter, and as we saw in the third quarter, he started it pretty well. That was playing in the forward line. There's Graham. So there's going to be some concerns for both sides heading into next week. What a match it's going to be. Dempster. Uses Fisher.
Since half-time, 9 goals to 1.
Hayes' kick run down. 22 disposals. 23, in fact, for Lenny Hayes. Dogs tried to flick it around a little. Get some run back into their play. Hargrave to half forward to Robert Murphy. He seems to have been hampered by a woe or two from early. Did pretty well then to improvise to Eagleton, who may well be playing his last quarter of footy, but this Saints not giving an inch.
That was super. That was a super effort by Zach. Because Murphy had a full head of steam up. Have a look at this. Like it's a bump tackle in one. Just forces him over the line.
And the ball just smouldering around on the bottom of the pack, and it comes out to Callum Ward, who's been a real bright spot for the Dogs tonight. He didn't get the bounce he needed. He's had 27 disposals, Callum Ward.
It's a great effort by a young Bulldog.
Alas, it's going to be a 7th preliminary final defeat without a win since 1985, when Mick Malthouse got them to the last 3.
some good news for St Kilda as Goddard takes this. Nick Dal Santos just wandered back onto the ground.
Long ball. Boyd outboxing Farron Ray. Free kick the Bulldogs' way. So Del Santo back. It's got to be good news for the Saints. Pickens footy for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, Brian Lake's gone forward.
Puts it within 30. Absolutely nothing there. Dawson missing the mark. Goddard tied up.
No way you'd put Del Santo back on the ground if there was any doubt at all. 42-point lead. You don't need to test it now. If you thought there was an issue, you'd do it during the week. So that is great news for St Kilda.
Cross, Grant, Peak comes away. Revolt again. Williams and Boyd.
Clever.
Yep.
Clever. Didn't have anyone near him to support him. He had 3 Bulldogs on his tail. Dribbled it to the boundary line. Bulldog supporters say, what about deliberate ump?
Robert Murphy coming from the ground, being escorted by the medical staff, so he does seem to have a worry or two.
What about Nick Revolt? Ballsies, Robert Murphy gets a little bit of attention. He's played 98% of the game time. Time for a little rest and make sure he's safe and sound and fine for next week's grand final.
Well, they can't win it without him, can they?
They might end up with about 7 blokes on the bench, Dash.
Well, that's what it's all about, really, isn't it? You just hate to see.
Just a question to you, Luke. You saw the game last night. Wonderful first half by the Magpies. You reckon they put the cue in the rack at half-time?
I think they actually, with all due respect, their effort wasn't, because they didn't need to. They're 81 points up. And I think they had the luxury then of just being able to rotate players, make sure they got everyone safe and sound. And on cue, why wouldn't you do it? He's the most important player for St Kilda.
He's played 2 finals against Collingwood and kicked 5 goals in each of them.
I reckon Ross Lyon's listening to you, Luke.
Eagleton scrambling it forward and wide. St Kilda's ball.
And it will be fascinating to who Mick Malthouse chooses to play on Nick Revolt next week. It'll be a massive clash, won't it? Does he go for young Nathan Brown? Does he think about bringing Presty back in? Or
I think it has to be a
in?
mixture of all of them. Hutto, we've seen tonight, he's had 3 opponents, played 98% of game time, and even then, with the rest, players still can't go with him.
Koschitzki climbing high there. Suddenly, every Saint seems to have a real appetite. Banged forward by McWalter, but Harbrow, the closest man to St Kilda's goal. Feeds it to Ward, getting up near 30 disposals to Gilby. Good ball to Cross. Way too far out to trouble the scorer. Goes for Addison, who played a big part in the Bulldogs' very competitive first half.
And Tim, Jason Graham back on the ground, which is also probably a good sign for the Saints.
Kicks to Cross, the distance probably beyond him here with the margin, with the distance more than 50. Harbrow could do it from there on the burst. Doesn't quite get enough. It's a minor.
Luke, I'm going to give you 4 names of ex-teammates of yours. I reckon this will be their last game in Bulldogs colours. Eagleton, Hahn, Brad Johnson and Harbrow.
Well, certainly Brad Johnson. It'll be the last game for a legend of the club, Jared Harbrow. So much speculation about him going to the Gold Coast, and you have to think that would happen. Nathan Eagleton, you think, will retire after tonight's game. And the only one I doubt was Mitch Hahn, that maybe he would obviously like to go around, and they might persevere with him for another year.
Well, sloppy disposal from Fisher that time. Ward. And here's Lake. So dominant in the first half, but not in the second. The Saints have really got their act together. Del Santo uses the left boot. Good sign. Kicks to half forward. Another good sign. Koschitzki takes the mark. Happy to wait. Knows that Nick Revolt's not there. So he's going to see who's going to mosey on down into the forward line. Maybe Stephen Milne as well up the ground. Might receive this yet from Del Santo. There's his right foot again.
Yep.
He did use the left a moment ago. Stephen Milne. Even he could find a way out.
Tell you what I've really enjoyed this final series is Stephen Milne, who had a lot of doubters about whether he was capable of delivering. There's the great Ron Barassi on screen. No one has been out on grand final day more than that man, but I think Milne's answered his critics so far. He has been very good in the 2 finals he's played.
Wouldn't he love to do it next week against Collingwood?
How many grand finals has Ron Barassi been in, boys, as a player and coach?
17.
Correct. How many were winning grand finals?
10.
Correct.
I've seen his autograph.
17 for 10.
That's right. In fact, I saw it written on a football yesterday, so it was fresh in the memory bank, Wolsey. Here's Gardner, been good in the second half, the big former Eagle. Smothered by Williams, 2 Saints there. Del Santo, just not much he could do. He didn't try anything inventive. Schneider, Eddie, oh Boyd getting his, or Cross rather, getting head over the footy. And it's out to the boundary. Luke, I wanted to ask you, did Wolsey ever retire you in the twilight of your career?
I think about 5 times, Tim.
You take any notice of him?
He's good at it. Just want to pay some respect to Daniel Cross there. This game is over, and he went and had no regard for his own safety in that last contest. One of the bravest players in the AFL.
They flip it around, and it's Ward that is able to emerge, not quite cleanly in the way he would have liked. He's up entangled with the skipper. Here's the Daniel Cross.
Look at this effort.
The Vella.
Super.
And it saved a goal, perhaps. So the margin is 41. We're almost at the halfway stage of this final turn. The Saints' third quarter blowing this game open. Cross again, resilient, up to the wing. Diligent Gilbert tapped it down and went back for more. And somewhat awkwardly, Gardner maybe just bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Transferred the heat to Zach Dawson, who gets a free for in the back.
Well, I just had a word from my friend at sportsbet.com.au, and for the grand final, Collingwood $1.43, St Kilda $2.85.
And it looks as if there's every likelihood that St Kilda will have the bigger preliminary final victory than Collingwood, but I guess a different opponent and under different circumstances. Maybe some injury questions.
And you know, it'll be the second time in the club's history that St Kilda have made it to grand finals in consecutive years. The last time was 1966, and I don't have to tell you who their opponent was. So there's a significant moment with them.
You wouldn't mind being Barry Breen's manager, would you, heading into this week?
He's got a busy week. Sadly, Darryl Baldock's in hospital in Launceston. He suffered a minor stroke late in the week. So, Doc, if you're listening, we send our best. You're probably not going to be here next week, but I know where your heart will be as Barry Hall blazes and misses.
And the St Kilda fans pretty happy with that miss.
Fortunately, the Bulldogs, that is not something they've seen a lot of. Barry Hall with space and one-on-one inside 50 tonight.
Del Santo heads to the interchange bench.
He's kicked 2 behinds for the night, Barry Hall. So Peake. And the Saints will be happy to play plenty of this through the last 10 minutes or so, you suspect. Dempster. Out wide to the wing. Eddie. There'll be individuals in this St Kilda team that will be thinking of their place for next week. Robert Eddie might be one. He'll be nervous just as to whether they'll think about bringing Stephen Baker back into the team, for instance. Do you think they can think about that, Das, or do you think they had their chance tonight?
I suppose injury being the only issue, and I hope Jason Graham and Nick Del Santo are both fine, but to miss, 12 weeks now for Baker, just a massive ask to then bring him into a grand final.
Touched off the boot, and Eastonwood had to improvise, which he did pretty well. Gets it towards the line. Hargrave takes an attacking frame of mind and decides to feed it back, and Morris's kick goes to the wing. Cross gets somewhat bundled out right on the fine line as to whether that was a free. Doesn't matter too much. There's Lake with the kick. Hall will come and hit Brad Johnson on the head. He still might have chance for another goal here, Brad Johnson. Let's see if we can will this one back around the corner. He deserves the bounce to go his way, but such is life. And the free kick is going to go to Barry Hall.
Well, happy Zach. Love to have kept Barry Hall goalless in a final, and up until now just 6 possessions for Barry.
He's done a terrific job, Zach Dawson.
He has.
Did it in round 6.
And then Hall is still goalless. Or was it? Yes, it was Payne as a behind.
Don't upset him, Zach. Just walk away.
We saw at the start of the night, it reminded us of the NAB Cup Grand Final where Barry kicked 7 and was letting Zach know all about it.
Goal umpiring controversy at that end during the third quarter. There's a good mark hauled down by Ben Hudson.
what a tackle by Gwilt.
There'll be a ball up. There's Mark Canning, the goal umpire, up there. Gardner had a long shot, touched close to the line by Lake. Goal umpire adjudging it a goal. And then it was overturned. I don't know what technology is available to the umpires' coaches, but I do wonder whether perhaps they monitored goal cam and shot out the message, or whether the boundary umpire from beside the point post was responsible for the discussion that followed in the overrule. It's an interesting point. If technology is used, we should know about it.
Well, you'd hope it wasn't, Tim.
Here's Picken from a long way. Centres. Nothing there. All St Kilda. Fisher takes the mark. And he has a good call out wide.
You look at Peake's sprint. Peake has just sprinted, and he'll contest this.
And the Saints recruited him for this very reason, to inject some run into their midfield, bring some pace and bite. He kicked a goal doing that earlier in the night. This kick's poor. Williams drops the mark.
Oh, and very happy to go over the line with it. And look at Riewoldt say to Peake, would you mind kicking a drop punt, not a mongrel talk?
Das, what does this mean to your old club? First time in their history they've made 3 consecutive preliminary finals, 3 years running, and yet again they've fallen short. What's it going to mean?
Yeah, really, really painful to get there 3 times, and let's be honest, they've been beaten by better sides on every occasion. 7 points last year to St Kilda. They look at that one and think that they had a lot of chances last year. They competed really hard for a half tonight, but have just been overrun by a side that's travelling better. 29 points 3 years ago. They lost a preliminary final. So you don't get anything for getting close. They've been a really improved side, but it'll really, really hurt. They've got some changes to make. They've got a lot of experienced players. Brad Johnson retires. Wolsey went through a few of their veterans that may or may not be there next year, and it'll really, really seriously hurt.
Hahn and Eagleton, a couple of those names that were mentioned. Goddard and Gwilt. Del Santo and Gilbert. Sting well and truly gone out of this game. Gets through to Montagna. Over to Snyder. Skidamarink gets through for another one. And they lead by 45.
Adam Snyder, such an important player in the side. Just really dangerous. And speak about with St Kilda, everyone knowing their role in the side. I think Snyder just does that really well. 3 goals in a final, and just is a player with great awareness, a great understanding of what's required. And I think he's actually improved his game this year.
So it's all over for another year for the Dogs. It's all over for Brad Johnson at the end of 364 games. The red, white and blue will have gone 49 years without appearing in a grand final. Fitzroy went 52 from 1944 to 96. St Kilda went 52 between 1913 and 1965, and Sydney went 51. But the Bulldogs are closing in, and their drought without a grand final is not far from becoming the longest in history.
Just 1 goal since half-time to the Doggies, and Rodney Eade to be bitterly disappointed. Their first half was really good.
St Kilda have kicked 13 goals. They hadn't achieved that in their last 5 finals. Done it in tough conditions tonight. Some good signs in this second half. Here goes Wood for the Dogs. Del Santo backing back bravely when he didn't need to. Grant to Jan Siracusa, who's had a quiet night, but scrambles a goal here.
Look at the players that I really see some upside in. Easton Wood, Jared Grant kicked 6 goals versus Essendon late into the season. I look at Liam Picken as someone who can improve, and they'll be looking to get games into Addison and a lot more of their younger players.
So Daniel Jones-Siracusa just 9 disposals, his first goal. Stephen Baker there. McAvoy. And another bounce. And they go deep forward, the Dogs, with the Boyd kick, but as you can see, Dawson still on the job, takes the mark.
We always look at St Kilda and you say, potentially, Zach Dawson's a player a forward can get hold of. And you think maybe that Blake's someone that could have 4 or 5 goals kicked on him. Gwilt's someone that you think maybe is not necessarily always going to stand up and deliver, but they do. And they've done it consistently now for 2.5 seasons. They'll have to do it again in the grand final against some really big-bodied forwards, Cloke and Dawes. But they've been able to do it, Wolsey.
They have, Luke, and for the last 2 years they've been the best team as far as having the least score kicked against them. Average points is 72 kicked against them. In this game the Bulldogs have kicked 49, so they've done it again. They just limit the opportunities for the opposition to kick goals. They control the tempo, and we saw that. They keep the ball in their possession, and this is what they will try to do against the Magpies next week.
Well, I think that's what makes it fascinating about next week, doesn't it? Because it's a totally different side that Collingwood are playing against compared to last night.
Exactly, Hutto. And Geelong, wonderful team that they are, they haven't got a plan B. They haven't needed a plan B for 4 years. And it was evident last night that when things didn't go their way, there was nothing else that they could do. St Kilda, I think they've got more strings to their bow. And as a result, don't write them off. Even though the bookmakers say that St Kilda are $2.85 and Collingwood's $1.43 for this premiership, they will try to control the tempo of the game by keeping possession, and they could win the premiership by kicking 11 or 12 goals. They almost did that last year against Geelong.
So Hunt shunts it forward. Good spoil from Blake. Griffin can see the open goal. Now can Barry Hall. This is the last little battle, really, isn't it, within the war? And at the moment, it's been won comprehensively by Zach.
I think they do really well is they really get isolated, their defenders. You don't see it happen too often. They always have someone coming in, third man up to help out. Really organised, structured, well-disciplined side, the St Kilda team.
You'd have to say tonight, though, when there were those opportunities early, Dustin, Dawson was able to negate Hall enough, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's a much improved player in that situation. He uses his body better, he gets off and has a run up and competes a lot better than he did a couple of seasons ago.
It's a lovely kick from Griffin. It almost had enough from a long way out. In the end, it's taken over for a minor score. Well, you blokes can analyse it all you like. I'm into the romance of this. 44 years after one of the most famous grand finals in history. St Kilda haven't won one since. Collingwood have won only one. They're going to do it again. It is going to be a very special occasion.
Who's Barry Breen for St Kilda? Jason Blake?
Tell you what they'll be hoping for, and we're looking potentially, I like it where you're going, but they'll be hoping for a really dry day, and so am I. I think they'll look at Revolt as being their key. Graham's back out there, that's massive. They just need him fit, so important to them, but
it's
the conditions are going to be enormous for them.
Because last week, whether it was coincident or not, Geelong played well a couple of weeks ago, really comprehensively when it started to rain and when it was wet in the first half against St Kilda squad.
Last year's grand final was a wet day. Revolt was restricted really well by Harry Taylor. He'll be hoping the sun's out. It's dry and hard and flat.
Well, this second half the weather's been perfect and Revolt has dominated. And St Kilda, you mentioned St Kilda's defensive unit, Luke. They're going to lose their defensive line coach, Stephen Silvani, who's been there for 4 years with Ross Lyon. He's going to Greater Western Sydney as their list manager.
Hargrave, look at the red, white and black jumpers up there. The Saints have really recaptured the hunger and appetite. There's a man who suffered as much as anyone last year from the anguish of that heartbreakingly narrow defeat. Lenny Hayes, and he'll have the chance along with his teammates to atone for it next week. Ray with the footy, former Bulldog, the second year in a row, part of a St Kilda team, eclipsing the Dogs in a preliminary final. Dogs work it around, still throwing punches, and Barry Hall can line them up and perhaps kick one at last.
I hope he does, Tim. He's kicked 79 for the year. I reckon he's had a fantastic season. And it'd be nice for him to be make sure he kicks a goal in this last game of the year for him.
Just worth noting here, Wolsey, St Kilda are playing with 5 on the bench at the moment.
5.
They've got Hayes, Del Santo, Gardner, Revolt and Goddard on the bench at the moment, so they're playing with 1 less out on the ground. There's the 4, and you've got Lenny Hayes on the mat getting a massage at the moment, so they are taking all precautions.
It's amazing, isn't it? But management of your players. That's right. Doesn't matter whether they win this by 50 points or 20 points. You know they're going to win. So manage your men.
So Barry Hall still goalless and on the brink all night of equalising and perhaps bettering his best ever goal scoring season. 80 with Sydney in 2005. He hasn't been able to do it. He might here. He'll get another go at them for number 80 from 30 metres out straight in front.
It's a great story, isn't it? I reckon Wolsey to come across, and the way he finished in Sydney and his reputation was tarnished. He's come back, he's been an All-Australian, and this will be goal number 80.
Taking no time with this one, driving it through. 80 for the year. Not to be sneezed at. He's made a major contribution. Alas, he hasn't helped the Bulldogs unlock the mystery of how to get beyond this stage. 3 years running, 3 preliminary final defeats.
Just shows how hard it is to get it all right, make a grand final. And beaten by a better side tonight. Make no mistake about that. St Kilda, who have had their issues throughout the season, including losing their captain for a long period of time. They got him back at the right stage, and they've got everyone fit. Stephen Baker, the only exception to that. But the Bulldogs, you look at tonight, and you think, wouldn't you love to have had Adam Cooney running around? Sean Higgins suffered the thyroiditis, and he's been out. And a few of their key players have been injured.
Have a look at that, Luke. 5 St Kilda players on the bench. At this bounce, they've got 9 players in defence, St Kilda, and only 2 forward. They're not interested in scoring, the Saints. They just want to lock up that back line, rest their 5 players who are on the bench, make sure no one gets an injury in the last couple of minutes of play.
Jared Harbrow, I wonder if that'll be his last kick in the Bulldogs' colours. Out to Wood on the wing. Up to Gilby. Could they get it to Johnson? One for old time's sake. Hahn, did he step over the mark? There it is.
Have a shot.
It's all over. He will have a shot. The result is academic. We'll have a look and see. The Saints don't even get back and try and stop it. It's gone through. It changes the margin. It becomes 24 points, but the Saints have won it. And as they did in 1966 when they won their only flag, they will play Collingwood next week. What's he thinking, Darce, your old mate, teammate? Let's get down to Andy Barr. We'll talk about Brent Johnson in a moment. Andy.
Thanks, Tim. Mate, what happened after half-time? What clicked for you guys?
Structurally, I suppose it's something that Rossi would be better answering. I thought we went far away in the first half. A few missed handballs, a bit of stuff like that.